Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Sam Omashe. It's a week after the governorship and state houses of assembly elections, and it is still dominating major discourse in the country. While 22 states are already making plans and setting agenda for the incoming administrations or administrators, 6 others where elections were declared inconclusive will wait until March the 23rd to have another go at it. Weekend on my common errors in English language segment. The phrase rescued alive is an absolute no-no. With the fact that a person is rescued means he is alive. And sometimes people use it very wrongly. You cannot rescue a dead person. You can only recover the body or bodies of the dead. You only go on a rescue mission when you have ascertained that there is a high chance of saving a person or persons. So I saw that the error was made both by commentators and reporters and editors during the tragedy that took place in Lagos where pupils and other people died when a building came down tragically. So you don't rescue somebody alive, because if you rescue the person, it means the person is already alive. But we always go to some of these very fine points of grammar from time to time on this show so that we can keep everybody honest. Well, though the main gist of the show today, lawyer and public affairs analyst who have been seeking for a long time to come to this show elusively, Liboros Oshoma, welcome to this show.
My pleasure.
And of course, my friend and colleague Adewale Adoye, journalist and erudite commentator, welcome to my show.
Thank you.
We are here to analyze the elections that just took place and the omen for some other elections that are yet to take place. Now let us look at the governorship elections, Liboros, and the State House of Assembly. I know most people are concerned with the governorship now. They tend to be, local elections, and local elections, that is where politics really takes place. Now, what are the things that struck you after looking at what happened?
First and foremost, I would say that I'm a phone call away from you, so at your service nationwide. But what really struck me first and foremost is you find out that the problems we've been grappling with since 1999 are still the same problems that we have, going into this election. And then also the desperation and attitude of our politicians have not changed, Rather, we see it increased by the day. And then the impunity, it's almost as if the law does not regulate, this impunity, it's you see people are become more emboldened, with it. And so you hear also what also came to the fore is that it is high time we begin to discuss the issues around our voting and electoral processes. Those are some of the salient points that stood out for me.
Yeah, but what you're saying, therefore, is that it looks like when you have impunity, it means that men are stronger than the law.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dangerous. It's a dangerous.
Very dangerous trend.
We saw that in a number of states. And whether we say the elections are free or fair or not, it's still a strong sense that men who have resources, who have men, and who have arms are able to bend elections to wherever they want.
Yeah, exactly.
What struck you?
Yeah, I think there are some positive signposts. Security. I discovered that compared with what we had in 2015, there are less soldiers on the streets. Though there are isolated cases, like
fewer soldiers,
Port Harcourt and all that. But if you look at what we experienced in the Southwest here. In 2015, I left Lagos here going to Ekiti State. I spent some 10 hours on the road, several checkpoints manned by soldiers. But this time around, even at the polling booths, there were armed soldiers everywhere. But this time around, in my polling booth, it was manned by an immigration officer. None of them was armed. And I saw so many polling booths where people were not armed. So I think there's a kind of improvement in terms of security, in terms of protection.
But to say that you have improved, we will take it that there's improvement.
Yeah.
But we cannot go away from the fact that we still have all those problems. I noticed personally that in the elections in the Southwest, that two governors could not do what governors usually did in Oyo and Ogun State.
Yes.
And I have told myself that from the region I came from, that's the Niger Delta, if Amosun were in Niger Delta, and if Ajimobi were in Niger Delta, and they wanted the elections to go a particular way, even today, at the election we had a week ago, they will have found their way.
Yeah.
Apart from two states, relatively, Edo and Cross River, I cannot, on my own, vouch for any election that takes place that has taken place since 1999 in my home state of Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and there's one other one, and Bayelsa. I cannot, on my own, believe that the people that are represented either in the houses in the legislative arms or in the executive arms were the choice of the people, because it is usually a state of war.
Yeah, you see, over the years, the voters in the Western region had, grown over the years and come to be, the region had been known to be one of the most sophisticated regions in terms of voting. Oyo State, for example, until the second coming of the outgoing governor, Ajimobi. Since 1999, Oyo never gave a governor a second chance. And so that shows that, Oyo also being the capital of Old Western region.
Where Awolowo tenanted is genius.
Exactly. So highly sophisticated voters. So it's not a place where you think you can just overrun people with might. You will have to discuss issues. And then Lagos also being a metropolitan city. Take Lagos, for example. If Lagos were a state in any other part of the federation, the outgoing governor probably would have insisted that he would get
I'm going to go there.
I would get a second turn.
Cut everybody off.
Exactly. But, the party looked at the indices and said, look, for us to retain Lagos, there's need for there to be a paradigm shift, which they also did. Look at Ondo, the presidential election, people didn't expect it to go the way it went. But because in this part, that's where, for me, that's why you could say that you look at the security issues also. You see here there were less security in the Southwest. But that cannot be said also of the South-South. Because right from 1999, the problem in Rivers State, for example, weren't that prevalent because all of the gladiators were in one party then, PDP. The moment they separated, that's when it became obvious that they were never elections. If you remember,
they're just writing.
That was why in 2015, Amechi came and the first thing he was asking for were the results. Where are result sheets? And he said something which is very germane, that we don't vote here.
We know what we do.
It is any man with the result sheets that wins. You remember in 2003 election, there was a particular village where everybody in Rivers voted and they voted for PDP then. And it was the same thing with Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa. These are communities where you have, and then mind you quickly, it was election in 1999 that gave rise to militancy in this region. So we need to begin to, as we are assessing the election, the governorship election in the Southwest, we also need to begin to also talk to the leaders of thought in the South-South region. Because you cannot turn your region to a war zone
This time
and
this
expect to
election.
reap the dividend.
I
of
don't know. I
the
don't know
election.
that we can talk to the leaders in the South and change things, because the leaders are all invested in this kind of thing. I wrote in my column that the only thing that can upend them is technology. If we introduce e-voting, maybe they will go there and destroy the
machines.
The machine and say no machine, no voting. But then we know that we have gotten to a place where we have to force them to do it. And maybe if you get to that, it's not a case where you say PDP 1, 2. They have to print everything and then
Yes, because really it's quite sad and unfortunate when you look at elections from other part of the country and then you look at the elections from the south and some places in the southeast and you look at the way adults conduct themselves at collation centers. And then you begin to ask yourself, can't we move beyond this collation center?
Exactly.
This, because that's where results are actually manipulated. A situation where, as we are voting, just like it happens in other Senate societies, as you are voting, we all can see the results. Collation is going on simultaneously. And, the world had moved beyond this manual 1, 2, 3, and so, because when we continue like this, we're going to make ourselves a laughing stock. And it becomes very difficult for us to begin to preach democracy, even in West African sub-region, not even talk about Africa. And then the mutual suspicion will be heightened.
It looks like SARS has also improved in the north and in the middle belt. That's why elections could be called inconclusive. We cannot do that inconclusive in Benue, inconclusive in
Kano,
Plateau,
Sokoto,
Adamawa, Sokoto,
Plateau State,
Benue. As I said, they could do that because everybody say, okay, let us follow the process. You cannot have an inconclusive in the
I think it was also impressive when you look at what happened in Borno State, where you have, extremist groups and all that. But in spite of that, we had an election and the party in power was able to win to a wide margin, 6,000 to about 1 million plus in Borno State. So it shows that the war efforts in Borno State seems to be more popular, among the people in those areas, contrary to the narrative that was being given, by the opposition groups.
And then you also notice, before you go there, you also notice that in the north, a place like Kano, where it was inconclusive, Buhari won by wide margin. In Kaduna too, where El-Rufai won, he won barely by 200 votes, while Buhari won by a larger margin.
You see, why we also look at voters from the West region, why it is easy to say yes, because the education here is higher. You say, oh, voters here are very sophisticated. But if you look at the trend of voting pattern in the Northwest, especially also, you tend to, there's need for us to begin to also give it to these people to understand that they actually know what they want. You can say for the presidential election, they'll say, look, the president is popular with us. But for unlike what happened in 2015, where everybody, it was like you're swimming with the tide and the integrity of Mr. President. But now, for the presidency, look, we'll go with the president. We understand what he stands for. But the fact that you are in the party does not mean that you actually represent.
That is why
that bandwagon effect wasn't there. And that's why you're seeing the election in Kano now. You're seeing the election in Sokoto. You're seeing the election also in Kaduna. So ordinarily, some of these people that we would ordinarily just say, well, they would follow the bandwagon. It is not happening that way.
I think in Kaduna something struck me. When El-Rufai picked a Muslim ticket, there was that assumption that he was going to lose the election. But I think the end justified the means. I think his calculation was right. He picked a minority Muslim. Each time, any party that came will pick, a deputy governor from a Christian minority. But this time he picked a Muslim from a minority. So I think he was able to galvanize a lot of support among the Muslim population and also minority people who are Muslims who felt that it was the first time that a Muslim among them was being picked.
But really, another thing is that these issues of religion and tribe had never really been our problem.
So at the end of the day,
politicians intentionally throw these issues up and make them look as if they are.
So if you look at the voting pattern, religion didn't come in because eventually.
If you say that religion didn't come in, what came in? Because the way he reacted to it made it a religious matter. Because he said, even if I pick a pope,
those that won't vote for me won't vote for me.
Yeah, he said, I can't get the Christian votes.
If we narrow all of these issues down to the nitty-gritty, really these are not problems.
No problem.
The tribe is not a problem here. Religion is not a problem, but intentionally created by politicians to curry favor. And you find out that it is only when they fall out of favor that they now begin to exactly. Look at when the presidential election, before the presidential election, it was easy for Nigerians, also for a lot of people to say, oh, the president is a Fulani man and he wants to Islamize the country. Yeah. But the PDP candidate was also a Fulani Muslim. And I had expected people to say, well, oh, they are both Muslim.
Yeah.
And so, so all that's why I felt, for me, these are really not our problems. In 1980s,
but they have become our problems because we have allowed them to
assume lives
just the same way we will gradually making ethnicity and tribe a problem. Do you know now that I tell some people very soon you will have people without identity? In Nigeria, if you live in Lagos, for example, you live in Lagos, you speak Yoruba, but you are from the Niger Delta. The day you want to contest for election in Lagos, that day you'll be reminded that you are not Omoeko. And then you go to your place.
And they say, no, you don't belong here.
And then you go to your place. Your people say, no, you are a Lagosian.
And then you are in Lagos and then you are not a Lagosian.
So you see all of this. And then the state is deprived of the weight of your experience or your service. And then so until we begin to do away with these issues of religion, ethnicity, tribe, we will not get the best of services. Look at, quickly, rounding up, look at the mayor of London. Nobody looks at whether he's a Muslim or he's a Christian. The thing is about service, and there are platforms and precedent for performance. And if you don't perform, nobody's going to look at, oh, because he's a Muslim or that there's an impeachment threat hanging over you. Nobody's going to look at it, oh, because he's a Muslim or because he's a Christian. It's the fact that he did not perform.
Yes.
But here, if the moment, once we start politics, you bring in religion, you bring in ethnicity. Oh, yes, because the president is from this. Oh, the running mate is from that. Oh, now is the turn of the Yorubas or is the turn of the Hausas. Sometimes it gets frustrating.
It's very frustrating. Now, the issue now is, given what we have seen in the elections, both the presidential and the state elections, we are now going to say, okay, let us now assess how well INEC has performed in this election.
Well, I think the card reader made a lot of difference, because it made it very difficult for people for multiple thumb printing. But I think a lot of people, we had 84 million registered voters. The turnout was less than 30%. And if you look at even what INEC did, INEC deployed 1 million ad hoc workers. And it means that this 1 million ad workers didn't vote. So a lot of people who are vulnerable were denied the opportunity of casting their votes. Awaiting tryouts, there are about 46,000 people, people on the sick bed, physically challenged people.
There's nothing INEC can do about that.
In other countries, you make opportunities for these people to vote. Because if you look at the number of turnout, compared with registered voters, 84 million, and then you're having about 30 million people voting. I think that number is too small compared with, And if you look at the turnout in the Southwest, compared with the Northwest, I think the turnout seems to be more impressive in the Northwest. A lot of people seems to be more politically conscious than people here, in spite of the fact that people here are more educated and all that. So I think INEC has improved, but I see so many rooms for improvement. Compared with what we have had in the past, I think we can still give INEC a pass mark. And I believe the idea of cancelling these elections in those areas where there were problems, especially in Rivers State, it was better than people losing their lives. In the case of Rivers, I don't think there was anything INEC could have done. The best thing would have been to postpone the election because people were being killed, you know, children were being murdered.
The problem with Rivers is that when there is a war, you need a truce.
Yeah.
But how do you bring a truce when you are an umpire?
Yeah. You see, for me, INEC and its election management team. By election management team, I mean the body police, those providing logistics. I think we have been grappling with one problem consistently. Yes. This logistic problem seems to be too bogus, you know, to pigeonhole. And it is very easy for INEC to say we have logistic problems. And so at the end of the day, logistic problem nowhere defined in their books. And so...
Well, the logistic problem have been defined. There are many ways to use it. But, the word is so all-encompassing.
Exactly.
That you need to break them down.
The particular logistics, you know, because now, take for example, distribution of materials. What stopped INEC from retaining, you know, a recognized transport company, for example? What are the sensitive and what are the non-sensitive? Look at the resident electoral commissioner in Katsina. He was able to track.
Do you have a recognized transport company that can go through the nooks and corners every day, every part?
Yeah.
That has the kind of rugged, not only that, rugged vehicle that can go to the far reaches of Zamfara.
What those companies will be doing will be, it is not just one.
A series of them.
Yes, series of them. You synergize because
contract them.
A situation, look at like in Katsina, the resident electoral commissioner tracked all the vehicles that even at INEC office you could see all the. It had a big board outside, and you could see all the vehicles. You know, and so that's for Katsina. For other states, I didn't see anything like that. And then a situation where you retain National Union of Road Transport Workers to distribute materials for you, and in some cases, Baba Mufutau, who is to distribute materials tomorrow.
It's an agent.
He's a party agent. You know, and so all of these are some of the...
sometimes it helps when you put the
give
egg.
Responsibility to
No,
people
when you keep the egg in the keep it in the custody of the fox, so that you know that anybody that eats the egg, it must be you.
And in some cases, fleet management. You know how INEC also has not been able to show that, you know, some of these fleet managers are effective in managing, you know, because even in Lagos, you hear that materials arrived in places like Bariga, that is so close to Yaba, very late. Not to talk of Lekki, Ekpe, and all of that. And then another thing that is very, very prevalent, the insecurity. Yes, in some cases, yes, you agree because of the attitude of politicians, but also the interference of the security agencies, you know, it's one too many. And so that's unlike Kogi. When INEC declared elections inconclusive in Kogi, there were no eyebrow raised, even though some of us felt that the running mate of the then leading candidate ought to have been declared winner. But then it was what happened, the allegations against security operative in Osun that led to the fear that people are now being expressed when elections are declared inconclusive. And so the attitude of some security agencies also in the election also indirectly affected, you know, the performance of INEC in the conduct of the election. And so that's why, rounding up, that's why we need to seriously begin to look at, you know, this e-voting.
E-voting is very important. That's where we should go to. That is what to make Niger Delta, especially the South as we know it, come into a reality. Because the impression is being given that people say, oh, South, this is where we are. No, the people, the leadership have so made it in such a way that everybody believes that this is our party. You know, so even if you didn't believe it, because they continue to win, you say, okay, it's a PDP state, it's a PDP state, it's a PDP state. Because the people have come to be cowed, to believe that that is their state.
Even it's so bad in some cases that election, a lot of people travel out of the state. And the big numbers will still come out from there.
Exactly. Anyway, last word from you.
Well, I'm impressed by what happened in Lagos State. It has proved that institutions are greater than individuals. The new candidate, Sanwo-Olu, came very shortly before but eventually was able to win with a wide margin. So it shows the fact that, you know, institutions are more important than individuals. Anybody the party puts down, you know, we eventually win the election.
But you have to put somebody who is
also
credible, acceptable.
Yes.
Sanwo-Olu has shown that he has a likable personality.
You know, for me, Lagos, for example, I really don't see it as a situation of institution greater than individual. But we saw how vigorously Sanwo-Olu campaigned.
Yes.
He was
Yeah,
in the
both-
face
Everywhere.
he
That's
was
what
in
I
the
said.
face
That
of
he came to
everybody.
show everybody that
He was,
Institution and then
he
individual.
was everywhere. And
well,
then for
they
us
usually
now-
say that it's because we are rounding up. It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a chicken and an egg situation. Is it the institution or
both.
the
The individuals.
individual?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
both of them will have to work
Yeah.
together because institution alone cannot help things. You have to bring individuals
Individuals to create
make
those
it
institutions.
human.
And
Yeah.
then going to say there was
Yeah.
a price for treachery, which I think was
Yeah.
good.
You know, but lastly, for me, elections are over. People have been declared winner. Some certificate of return have been. I think this is the time for every winner now to sit down and begin to walk the talk. So
It's
that
time to govern.
once they are sworn in, they should hit the ground running.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for watching us on this show. You can catch up with my published column on www.samomashaye.com. Also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @samomashaye. Until next time,
Be good.
be good.